Is it a stomach virus? Is it the flu? Or is it a parasite? That is today's topic. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Starkey Farmstead. So today's video, we're going to talk about parasites. Did you know that like 50% of all humans on earth right now have some form of parasite? So the most common parasites that we tend to deal with are things like tapeworm, roundworm, hookworm. They even consider things like lice, scabies, red bugs, and bed bugs all forms of parasites. So a parasite rarely kills its host because if you die, it breaks its life cycle up and it dies. So it's very beneficial for the parasite to make you its host stay alive. Now, you will tend to have numerous indications that you have a parasite. But the reason I made this video is it's so overlooked. Okay, so I got a phone call a good friend of mine from church sent out a text message saying, please pray for my grandchild. They're going to be admitted into the hospital for a stomach virus. She is dehydrated. Little did any of us realize that it was going to be much worse than that. Come to find out, it was not one stomach virus, it was two. Now add into this, she also had a parasite, an intestinal parasite. The only reason that the parasite was found was because the child was so sick. The doctors decided to do a little bit more looking into it. Come to find out, the child had recently been to a local river and gone swimming. Now, I had just made a video a couple of days ago called The Dog Days of Summer Are Over. And in the video, I talked to you about how much higher the rate of disease happens to be during this period of extreme heat. It is the same thing for parasites. So a parasite is an opportunist. And they need a few things to thrive. But one thing that they do love, obviously, is the inside of the human body, which at a normal body temperature is somewhere between 97.5 and 99 degrees and extremely moist. Come on down to Southeast Louisiana, and you've got those same exact requirements for a thriving parasite population. So for all of my life, I'll be 49 on Sunday, I can remember my mom saying things like, don't put the dirt in your mouth. Sam, you need to wear shoes when you go outside, especially during the summer. Don't get in the water. Don't drink that water. But like I told you in a previous video, we have a generation of knowledge that simply was not passed down for whatever reason. And we know so little. We can remember our parents warning us. And now that I look back, I realize it was because of parasites. Because I can remember at least twice that I was taken to the pediatrician, diagnosed with roundworms, and treated for a parasitic worm as a child. That is not uncommon in Southeast Louisiana. Now, the thing that gets me is that parasites are as big of a problem today as they have been for thousands of years. It's just a less talked about topic. Now, I know there was a TikTok trend a while back, saying, do you need a parasitic cleanse? Guys, be super careful with that quackery, okay? Now, I will tell you, here recently, I took organic honey and I chopped up organic turmeric, ginger, and garlic, lemon peels, and put it in the honey to sit. It's been sitting now for about 5 weeks, and I'm going in there in just a minute and add one whole clove to that. That is a potent general dewormer. Everything in that will help support your immune system and help your body purge itself of parasites. They don't like garlic ever. Something else that I highly encourage everyone to do, and it is plant pumpkins, especially this time of year. Worm everything on your farm with pumpkin seeds, whole, fresh pumpkin seeds. Now, for my husband and I, he doesn't necessarily like fresh pumpkin seeds uncooked, and it's difficult without teeth for me to eat them. So what I do is grind them in the smallest pieces that I can, and I add them to things like my homemade gravy, into my soups. You see what I'm saying? I sprinkle it almost like you would a granola on top of just about everything. And that way I know that we're getting the enzymes from the pumpkin seed that we need to kill tapeworm, because tapeworm is a serious problem in humid, hot climates. And unfortunately, folks, your body is a humid, hot climate. Now I'm going to cut in some clips here, one of which I found very interesting. That, do you know why southern states are considered lazy? Watch this clip.
For more than 300 years, nearly 50% of the people in the southern US were filled with worms. This is that story. What began as something referred to as a ground itch, an itching sensation felt between the toes, turned into a cough that later evolved into exhaustion and a feeling of haze. Southern adults grew so tired that they neglected their farms and fields, and their children grew lazy. There were more physical symptoms too. Victims had distended bellies, emaciated shoulder blades, and hollowed-out eyes. What was this mystery illness plaguing 40 to 50% of the southern US? It was hookworms. Deemed the germ of laziness, the hookworm lived and fed off of blood of up to 50% of the population from Texas to the Virginias. It was such a persistent problem that it is credited with creating the stereotype of a lazy and moronic southerner. The oddly common and still rather southern centralized hookworm affliction may pose a rather concerning question to how it could have spread. But the answer is that it spread from the ground. Salt and thymol, medicine that would treat hookworms if taken correctly, or would kill you if taken incorrectly. The campaign made a large dent in the hookworm ailment of the South, but it lasted only 5 years and failed to eradicate the parasite completely. It took until the growth of more modern sanitation systems in the 50s through the 80s for hookworm to be considered a smaller ailment. So that's the concerning story of how for 300 years the southern US became known as lazy. Not because they wanted to be, but because nearly half of all of the population had infectious blood-sucking worms living inside of them.
Yeah, you couple the fact that for hundreds of years, people in the South dealt with a severe outbreak of parasites, along with our really bad eating habits and all the industrial pollution and nonsense, and then the Mississippi coming through dumping all of everybody up north's chemicals on us. You can see why people would think people in the South were slow, that we were lazy, when really we're pretty down to earth, hardworking people. But I know a lot of people who have issues with joint pain, with fatigue, with anemia that live in the South. And now, having learned a little bit more about parasites, my suggestion to you is boost your immune system with something like the honey concoction that I recently made, or pumpkin seeds, or add things like cloves into the food that you're cooking, especially fresh organic herbs. If you can get your hands on some holy basil or plant it next year, that's a great addition and helps fight a lot of parasites. Just remember, guys, what your child, your pet, or yourself might be going through could be worse than a common. Just your friendly reminder that parasites are alive and doing well here in our 21st century, guys. So arm yourself with the following herbs and look for the symptoms and signs. And don't let that doctor tell you that it's all in your head. God bless you. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing videos like this.
Against certain parasitic video.
You know, there's actually a scientific reason why the rest of the world thinks that people in the South are lazy.